Hi, welcome back. Today we've come to visit our friends at Whitsunday Escape, a bareboat charter company here in the Whitsundays in North Queensland. I thought it might be prudent for us to come and have a walk through a couple of boats that are geared up for bareboats. That is for charterers to come along and to go and enjoy a week or 10 days or whatever they might want to do, chartering a boat. The one that we're on at the moment is a 50-foot Jeanneau. It's a beautiful monohull, and we're going to have a look through the basic systems, both down below with the circuits, bilge pumps and those types of things. Then we're going to go up on deck and have a look around the cockpit and see what we can find up there. This is just to give you a bit of an insight into what a bareboat looks like. It's easier for us to go for a walk through this boat because there's not crap everywhere, like on our boat, and it's nice and clean and it's prepared for charterers. So we're coming down into the saloon area. Pretty easy to see. There's our galley and stove. There's a microwave oven over there in the corner. And this is a pretty well appointed galley. There's a wide shot of the whole saloon, galley and nav station. You'll have to excuse the paper towels on the toilet there just above the sinks. This boat is in its final preparations for the next bunch of happy charterers to come and enjoy a magnificent holiday sailing on this boat. So over there on our left is the nav station. This is where you can see up on the back is our circuit breakers, and we're going to have a bit more of a look at those in a second. Just on a side note, here we are at the nav station again. You'll see all sorts of bits of paper and notifications and reminders and checklists and things on the wall here. Not a dumb thing to do if you're getting into a new boat. That is, keep checklists of where the circuit breakers are or what to do in this situation or where the winch switches are. These ones here are obviously people coming out for a week or 10 days. They don't know all the intricacies of this particular vessel, and they're all different. And then if we come over here to the VHF radio, just down below that is the main circuit breaker. I'd highly recommend ensuring that your switch panel, like this one, is well and truly labelled. And everything there, if you were to go through it one switch at a time, you'd find it quite easy to understand what's going on. And you'll notice a big sign there that says switch off the water pump when not in use or empty. That's because if for some reason that you might have a leak in your fresh water hose, and you're not on the boat, the pump will just start pumping water and squirting all of your fresh water into the bilge, and then the automatic bilge will switch on and you'll lose all of your water. In behind here we have shore power, air conditioning circuit breakers, and the shore power, as you would understand, I hope, is that means you come into a marina, you plug your 240 or 220 volt lead into the marina, and all of the boat's electrical systems will then run off that shore power. Batteries will be charged, fridges will be run, everything will be taken care of in that regard. Again, down there you can see that everything is clearly labelled. And I can't stress enough, that is highly recommended, not just for bareboats, but for your boat as well. You're going to find there's going to be lots of switches and dials and circuits and gauges and all sorts of things. Don't be afraid to go down to the local stationery store, buy yourself a labeller and make sure everything is labelled clearly and accurately. Okay? So there you'll find that's the system on this particular vessel. And then again, all little nooks and crannies, you've got spare oil and fire extinguishers there. In the nav table, there's usually bits and pieces. This all folds away. Spare globes over there in the top right corner for probably the anchor lights or lights inside the cabin here. Charts and bits and pieces there. So everything that the crew need to navigate and to oversee the operation of the boat is all pretty much controlled from here. You'll notice that the floor has all sorts of latches down here, and all of the floor here will come up. And it will come up to reveal anything from, let me just do this here. In this instance, there's storage there. There's a storage bin for food or supplies. Over here we've got a pump, and I'm assuming that's going to be either a bilge pump or a water pump of some description, but everything, as you can see, is nice and easily accessible. And that is the case. We won't open up all of these storage hatches because every boat's different. There's another storage hatch under there. If we move a bit further to the front of the boat, this is probably the hatch that you're going to want to know what's in it. And just bear with me. This is the bilge pump. That will be the lowest point of the boat, and the pump down there that you can see, it's all wired in electrically, and there's hoses and things coming in from everywhere. There's a couple of hoses you'll see that appear as though they're feeding water into that point, and down in that little tiny hole is a switch. So when the water gets to a certain level, the switch will turn on and the bilge will be drained. And then if you just look above here, you'll see a cluster of wires, but there's two massive bolts there. They're going to be bolts that are attached to the keel, just to ensure that everything's nice and secure. As you can see, they're nice and they're big, and they're sealed with what looks like rust, but they're sealed with a treatment so that they stay nice and clean underneath. Clean off the surface and you'll be able to get those bolts off nice and easily. And of course there'll be more at different parts of the keel. So that's the bilge pump. That's a pretty important part of any boat. You want to make sure that it's an automatic switch, it's a float switch, so that when the water reaches a certain level, the switch comes on and the bilge remains dry. You'll even see down here, although it's a small label, it is labelled. Because sometimes in the heat of the moment, the skipper may not be able to do everything. So if he sends one of his crew running down, go down to the forward hatch, you'll see a sign that says bilge pump, lift the bilge pump and do whatever it is that you might want to do. So it's handy to have those labels around. There's another view of the saloon, galley and the nav station, and also the companionway being the front door, let's call it, in and out of the boat. And then we're going to have a look in this instance here for this particular vessel. We should then be able to reveal the engine. And there's the engine. Nice clean bilge, easy access for checking and changing oil and checking oil levels. You'll also see this spongy material here. This is a special soundproofing foam. Couldn't even explain to you what the chemical makeup of it is, but you'll notice that that's all around the engine compartment there, just to minimize the noise for the crew when the engine is running. Nice clean engine. I can only dream of having an engine bay as clean as this. Something else that's also handy here, you'll see that little hole that goes into the engine bay. That's where we were at the front of the stairs. That's just for a fire extinguisher. In the event that there's a fire in the engine compartment, without giving it oxygen, you can plug your fire extinguisher in there and away you go. And then here we have access to the side of the engine. And you'll see there's a blower, a little blue fan in there. It might be a bit difficult to see, but that's just to keep air moving through the engine compartment. So this is a great configuration and a great way to be able to get easy access to your engine for maintenance, for routine maintenance, and also in the event of an emergency where you might need to put a fire extinguisher in there. Also up there on the wall behind the door is a fire blanket, also handy to have. So up in the cockpit we've got a twin helm arrangement. Underneath this tarpaulin under here, under this cover, it's a beautiful fold out table. And sitting here at the starboard helm station, you can see down here we've got some of our instruments, which would be the log and wind instruments. They've got their rubber protectors on them to keep them clean. Then here we've got, in this instance, on this vessel, we've got a couple of electric winch switches. And then over here, mounted on the base of the cockpit table, is our plotter. This is for our navigation and so on. You'll see there on the port side is there's the shore power lead on the floor, but there's also the gear lever and throttle. And as is the case all around your vessel, you're going to find storage compartments like this one here, which is for the gas bottle, which is operating your stove and the lights. Down there is the speaker for the sound system, and most of these new boats these days have got a fantastic sound system on them. As you can see, this is a nice, neat, clean cockpit. If we look above us here, this is the bimini. This is a canvas cover. that can be removed. The bimini is great because it can fold out of the way when you're sailing and allow you free visibility to all of your sails and the surroundings basically. Here we've got our winch station, portside winch station, and you'll notice there's a nice bag here to keep all the ropes neat and tidy. The last thing you're going to want is to have loose ropes lying all around the deck because someone's bound to get their foot caught in them. There's also a winch handle. This vessel has been built with electric winches, meaning you don't have to pack any sweat to get your sails up or to adjust your sails. But you'll also see the station up here. Each of your sheets and halyards are all marked and they're all different colours, so it's quite easy to find which rope you need to be accessing to make the necessary adjustments. It's pretty important to be organised. You don't want all your ropes the same colour because it can be difficult, even if you've had the boat for a while, it can be difficult in a pinch or in the middle of the night to find the right rope. Just see on the left there's another winch handle in a nice neat little compartment there where it can't be lost, and a little reminder there to face steps because there's a slip hazard. And that's our quick look through a 50-foot Jeanneau. It's a beautiful boat. Systems are simple, systems are clearly marked, systems are easily accessible, and while there might look to be a lot, but once you mark and label everything and you get to know it, you'll be able to go straight to whatever it is that you need to go to. Okay?